Good morning, everyone. My name is Nick Barnes. I'm the operation manager for Guntherwerks. Behind me is our latest commission, our Mexico Blue Remastered 993. A little bit about Guntherwerks. So Guntherwerks started 5 years ago. We are the sister brand of Vorsteiner. Vorsteiner is an aerodynamic company that does add-on aero kits for Lamborghinis and Ferraris. The owner of Vorsteiner, an avid Porsche collector, loved his modern day Porsches, but also loved the driving aspects of the air-cooled analog Porsches. So he came up with the concept of, what if I had the driving and the analog feel of the Porsches of the yesteryears with the modern performance that you get in a modern day GT3? And so we started thinking, which Porsche should we start with? And the best decision was the Porsche 993. Now the 993, they never made a GT3. Well, what if Porsche had continued that? So that was our inspiration behind the project. Being that we've been in the carbon industry for the past 17 years now, we really wanted to make sure that the car was extremely light and that the car featured a full carbon body. So on the car, the bumper, hood, fenders, roof, rear quarters, ducktail, and bumper are all carbon fiber. You come take a look at here, this particular commission has our exposed stripe. It's a 2x2 weave that matches from the hood to the roof, fully exposed, with the V going all the way through. Now, if you look at the design of the car, the design was really showcased off of some of the other Porsches through the yesteryears. So if you look at the front bumper here, it's designed after the Carrera GT. The fenders were very designed off the 993 GT2 Evo. If you look at our ducktail spoiler in the rear, that's based off of 73 911 RS. And then our rear bumper was designed after the 997 GT3. Again, a lot of design elements from Porsche of the yesteryear. Now you'll notice too, the car is very wide. So it's roughly 3 inches wider each corner. That allowed us to have a square track width. And that was a big thing when we were designing the car, was the 993s were notorious for understeering. And so widening the track width, especially in the front, allowed us to wipe away all that understeer, and actually really drives in more with an oversteer that we're used to on the modern day Porsches. Now if you look at the actual front wheel combination, that allowed us to run a 295 on an 18x11 in the front, and then it's an 18x13 in the rear. Now again, going back to the design elements when we were initially engineering and designing the car, the cool thing on the 993 is it allows you to push the suspension out 20 millimeters to the cup settings. And in doing so, that allowed us to design our own upright with ERP, one of our suspension partners, who designed an upright specifically to our needs. That allows us to pull 1.2 lateral Gs in a skid pad. When we tested this car at Laguna Seca, this car pulled over 3 Gs in the corkscrew. Now with a phenomenal chassis and suspension setup, let's come take a look at the crown jewel, the engine. Now the engine on the car essentially starts off with a 3.6 block. From there we bore it out to 4 liters. It's still naturally aspirated, air-cooled, and it's still a flat 6th. Again, the original block. From there, we do our own custom pistons, rods. It's our own individual throttle bodies with a 997 GT3 intake plenum. For ECU management, we use a Motec dual mapped ECU. The dual mapping allows us to run a sport button in the center of the dash. When engaging the sport button, it changes the horsepower from 420 horsepower to 435 horsepower. In addition, that opens up the exhaust valve on the exhaust, and it's much louder, much vibrant sound in the exhaust system. Also, when looking at the rear here, that gives access to our JRZ suspension. We run the JRZ 3-way adjustable full coilover with external reservoir. That allows us to fully set the car up to our exact specifications. Now, with a beautiful engine and a beautiful drivetrain, we want to make sure that we have a beautiful interior as well. So let's come take a look at the interior. The interior is fully bespoke, a lot of the components in the interior are all handmade, done by us. For instance, we do a full carbon door card here with our own billet aluminum door handle. And then from there we have our full carbon flooring. Now the carbon flooring is actually made up of 5 different components, from the center console tunnel to the actual floors for driver and passenger, in addition to the actual side panels here, that fully carbon 2x2 weave. In addition, come take a look at our rear seat delete. The rear seat delete is a top and bottom piece that deletes the whole rear seat. In addition, we have our fire extinguisher mounted to the rear seat delete here. One of the big and probably my favorite feature on the car is our full carbon bucket seats. Again, all done by us. It's a 2x2 carbon weave. We actually do our own custom fitting when a customer selects and options out their car. Based off the actual leather or seat material that we do, we'll sit and fit them specifically to their actual seats. From there, we have our full bespoke dash here. In addition, you see the full carbon upper dash, again, all done by us. Over here, we have our full gauges that are all redone. We actually changed the rev limiter from 7,200 RPMs all the way up to 7,800 RPMs, again with our 4-liter motor. Now, one of the big things is the driving position and your reach to the actual steering wheel and the shifter. We use our own billet aluminum 6061 billet shifter, which is actually higher, which makes it easier to shift through the gears. Now up front, we have our full trunk, which is fully bespoke again. Again, showcasing really our carbon expertise. We've got our JRZ external reservoirs, easily accessible, and then we do a full trunk insert, again, really showcasing the carbon technology that we're capable of. Now we couldn't stop there. One of the big things, and probably, again, another favorite feature of the car, is our bi-LED headlights. It's a full airplane grade glass with our own carbon bucket, an LED DRL, and then a bi-LED headlight. Cool thing too is it uses the factory wiring harness, so it's a plug and play application. And then out back, the rear lighting comes from the modern day 991 C4Ss. Again, a full LED taillight that has a full LED bar that goes across. Let's light it up, take a look. With a weight of 2,650 pounds and a power of 435 horsepower coming from our naturally aspirated air-cooled flat 6, the car has a power-to-weight ratio of 352 horsepower per ton. Now, a modern-day GT3 RS has 350 to 1, so we have a better power-to-weight ratio than a modern-day 991 GT3 RS. Now, our prototype and test car set a lap record for an air-cooled 911 of 1 minute 33.10 seconds around Laguna Seca Raceway. Again, a second faster than a modern day 991 GT3 RS. So when a car actually is commissioned out, the customer actually has to provide a donor vehicle, or we can source one for them. When we actually get the donor vehicle, it's a bare chassis 993. From there, we'll actually strip the cars all the way down to the bare chassis. We send them out to media blasts, and then from media blasts, we get the cars back. Imagine a car completely stripped out and there's nothing left but the chassis. From there, we'll do our chassis modifications. Some of the mounts we actually delete from the car, again, to reduce weight, and we beef up some of the other different mounts. From there, we'll go to bodying, where we add on all of our body components. During the body component process, we'll actually remaster our subframe assemblies. The whole subframe is essentially brand new from the ground up. And then from there, we'll do assembly process. So that's installing the drivetrain, installing all the suspension components, and then our fully bespoke interior. Like mentioned, the build time on these commissions are roughly anywhere from 6 to 9 months, depending on what your options are. So the Mexico Blue is actually a slight variant of your traditional Mexico Blue, and we actually bespoke every paint for the client's car. So each car is going to have a slight variant and our own blend of paint. In addition, each car is actually named by their paint. So we have Mexico Blue here. We have a couple different commissions that are called Winchester White, Chelsea Gray, Voodoo Blue. In addition, we have our exoskeleton. Now imagine this whole car as an exposed carbon, matching from bumper to bumper in a 2x2 carbon weave. When a client's commission is approved by us, what we'll initially do is start talking about some of the paint options and interior options they're going to want to select. Again, each of our 25 commissions are uniquely different, and no two can have the same interior-exterior color. This process usually takes us the longest. Now from there, there's roughly 50 other options the client's going to go through, from brake and wheel options to headlight options, spoiler options, and roughly 25 options in the interior, from interior materials to stitching to carbon weave to textures, from a gloss carbon to a satin carbon. So wrapping up our Mexico Blue commission here, each car is actually bespoke to each customer, and no two cars can have the same interior and exterior color. Now we're only building 25 examples of our remastered 993, and to us it epitomizes the best of the air-cooled, from performance driving, electronics, interior. Every aspect of the car has been taken to the next level and making it the ultimate air-cooled 911. Now if you want to learn more about the remastered 993 by Guntherwerks, feel free to look on our website at guntherwerks.com or follow us on Instagram at Guntherwerks.